I've been a Christian since I was about 10, 11, but I've never really had a relationship with God. All my life, I've always felt like I needed to fit in. I went to Soul Survivor when I was a kid, come back buzzing, going to school telling people about God, and then I would always get back into the worldly things. I always tried to find that missing piece or that buzz. That was always what I was chasing, always. Even with the church, I got involved with dance again, like when I was younger. I've done youth trips and things. So it's always been there, but I've never actually had a proper relationship with him. Like I said, I always went back, never actually put 100% in. I went through a lot of failed relationships, violent relationships, drugs, alcohol, and from a kid, I was doing a lot of self-harm. Even through school, I was always hurting myself because I had so much pain and hurt, and I didn't even know what it was. It was just because I just needed something, and the self-harm used to take it away. I obviously have been blessed with 2 sons, Ronnie and Rocco. Obviously, they are in my life. I married their dad, and I was happy. Was I 100%? No, I wasn't. There was still a missing piece, and I thought it was my husband and the children that saved me, but they didn't, and the relationship ended. And then that's when things got worse. That's when I was really severely depressed. I was at my lowest point. I was drowning. I was getting in a lot of trouble. I mean, I was getting in more trouble last year, the year before, than I was ever. Constantly getting arrested and having blackouts and waking up in the morning thinking, what have I done? And then my sister or my mum ringing me on the prison phone and saying, like, this is what you've done. And I had no idea what I'd done. Cocaine, just using cocaine to give me that buzz on a weekend or even through the week sometimes. I was drinking really heavily. And when I say heavily, it was like I started off with a bottle of wine, and then it was 4 bottles of wine a night. I wanted to completely black out. So that took the happy child away. Like, I had a happy childhood, and I think all that disappeared. It took the happy Sam out of it completely. There was no glimpse of hope left in me, no glimpse of hope whatsoever. And it was just darkness, a massive darkness. And then that's when the suicides came in, suicide attempts. I was always in and out of hospital overdosing. I cut my arms open really, really bad, and still to this day I wear tops to cover them. So I was always in and out of hospital, like, just being silly, but I could never die. I tried to so many times, but God kept bringing me back. I remember being in a hospital bed, and I was just thinking, why? And then I'd still try and kill myself in the hospital. And one time there was a lot of security around me because I just thought, well, I'm in hospital and I still can't die. I see no other way out. I went to crisis houses. The medication, I was on a lot of medication, wasn't working. Therapy, nothing was working. So one day, I took myself, I drank a bottle of wine, probably a couple of bottles of wine, and I had my kids with me, you know. Social services were involved, which I used to frown upon social services. I used to be like, anyone that has social services in their life are, you know, the lowest of the low. But I had social services, and my kids are at risk of being taken. And my mum and dad had to look after them, where I just couldn't cope. So I thought they were better off without me. Like, I used to think that they needed me, but in the end they didn't. I thought they didn't. So I took myself to the bridge in Emerson's Green, and I stood on the bridge, and I just thought, this is it. So I remember messaging people saying, I'm sorry, just look after my kids, because they were a blessing. And I did stand on the bridge, and I did say, God, why me? So I did that. So anyway, obviously it wasn't my timing. So a passerby happened to be an old apprentice of mine. She was walking past, and she don't even live in Lyde Green, but she was walking past, called my name and tried to get me down. That's when my brother shown up, Tash shown up, and Paige and a few other people, and helped me get back into my flat. And I felt like a failure then, because I thought, gosh, I can't even do that right. I got on the bridge. I mean, I'm quite short, so I tried to get on the bridge, but I kept trying to get up, but just wasn't happening. But yeah, so that was that. And then I realised then, like, I needed to detox. I needed to detox not just from alcohol, because I wouldn't, it wasn't just about alcohol, it was everything. I thought in my head, yes, the alcohol, once you take the alcohol out the way, I'll be fine. But it wasn't, because there was always something that replaced it. So I detoxed myself. I worked hard to stay with my mum and dad, took the alcohol completely out of the way. I started coming to church. Rich and Claire was really good to me. I made a lot of friends here. Obviously, my life still wasn't perfect. I was coming here on a Sunday, but then going home and still doing the same worldly things, but not as bad, which I thought I was all right. I thought, I can just carry on because at least I believe in God. But as time went on, I fully surrendered. I fully surrendered all of me. And now I'm actually training and getting in to work with addicts and women who has been abused, sex trafficked, or, girls that are women, men, anyone that's suicidal. Social services are not involved anymore. I got a new house, which I never thought I'd get because I had so much debt, that there was no way I was going to get this house, and this house come up, and I've been blessed with it locally, right by my son's school, and just down the road from my parents. So I've been given a new life, and I'm not perfect, and I never will be, but God was my missing piece. And I worship him and try to honor him the rest of my days. He is my therapist, he is my best friend, and he is my addiction, and he is my father who will never let me down.